Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I love all my guests. I really do truly love all my guests, but I can't tell you how excited I am for today. One of my, if not the shero in my life. Oh my gosh, can't wait to talk to this woman. So please join me in welcoming Kathleen Caldwell to our program today.
Deb, I'm so excited. My gosh, it's the mutual fan shero show today, right?
I know. Woo-hoo. Everybody get ready. This is going to be so much fun. And part of the reason I really, did I get enough reallys in there? Wanted Kathleen to be on the program is it is our 700th program. So here's little monkey dude. He's going to cheer for us. Look, he's Mr. Super Guy. Da-da-da. So, without further ado, I guess we should get serious and talk about what we're here to talk about today. But clearly, we're going to have a good time. So let me tell people a little bit about you, and then we will really dive into this because we are going to have so much fun. So Kathleen Caldwell is CEO of Caldwell Consulting Group, LLC, the founder of C-Suite Network's Women's Leadership Council and their Women's Success Accelerator. This month, Caldwell Consulting Group is celebrating its 15th year anniversary in the business of mentoring and advising entrepreneurs, executives, and business teams around the world to greater success. Kathleen has received numerous awards and honors, including a Women of Distinction, Woman of Achievement, and Entrepreneurial Excellence designation. Whoa! She is a committed supporter of women's leadership and economic development programs and started her first mastermind alliance way back in 1998. And she continues to guide women to be seen, heard, and richly rewarded. In her spare time, which I'm not exactly sure when that is, Kathleen is a certified Zumba instructor, health coach, and success hypnotherapist, that explains why you get us all to do what you want us to do, and has a passion for international travel and ballroom dancing with her sweetheart and wonderful husband, Michael. So again, Kathleen, welcome.
Deb, thank you. I am so excited to be here to spend some time with you. And, it's just such a privilege, such a great opportunity. Thank you.
And we were chatting before the program that we've never just chatted like this. So we're bringing our hundreds, thousands, millions of listeners and viewers in on this great conversation where we really get to know more about you and what you do. And of course, the absolute fabulous support that you provide for women's leaders. But I always like to go, get in the Wayback Machine and find out how you started and how you got to where you are today, knowing that this is your passion in life.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I've been reflecting on a lot of things. When you have a podcast opportunity to be interviewed by you, it's important to prepare. And so it was a great contemplative opportunity to think about some things and really what I'm passionate about right now and kind of where the origins of it. And I think that's important for all of us, like you were saying, to take a step back and think about things. And, you just got back from a nice vacation. I did too. And this was just a great opportunity to just pause a bit and take a deep breath and really think about the things that are important. And I realized through all of this, and of course, with our pandemic that we've just been going through, is, having a voice, having a point of view, and being equipped, confident, clear, capable of expressing that point of view out in the world is so darn important.
Right.
Yeah. And I recall, Deb, as I was thinking about the time with you, is that was not the case in elementary school for me.
Right.
Yeah. In elementary school,
Be a good girl.
Well, that's it. That's it. And I consistently got the check mark, which was talks out of turn and talks excessively.
That's
and
me.
so, yeah, thank you. Thank you. So women around the world who talk excessively and talk out of turn, we should all unite on the planet, hold hands and just talk. Right.
Yeah. Just over each other, everything. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. So I got a message very early on that, speaking up, speaking out of turn, having a point of view is something that was not very good. So I recall very clearly telling myself, well, I should probably just shut up. And, that's not a really good way to start out in the world, to think that what we have to say is too much, too loud, too much. And combined with those early childhood messages of children are meant to be seen and not heard.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So my early programming, like a lot of us, and if you're a boomer, this was really prevalent, is, just look nice, but don't really rock the boat.
Right.
And don't, if you're too much of anything, it's never good.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And we now know as adults, if you're not too much, you're not going to stand out in the crowd.
Right.
You're not going to, be seen and heard as a leader. Yeah. So, yeah. So getting over that early childhood programming, and I've done a lot of surveys, about this and developed this body of work around women's success swagger. And this is a common theme. So you can relate, Deb, can't you?
Most definitely. Yeah. I was the kid, told, shut up, sit down. And now, there was another kid in my class that actually got duct taped to his chair. Obviously couldn't do that now, but I didn't have that happen. But yeah, I was Chatty Cathy, big surprise to everybody. Right.
Yes. Yes. Well, and so, kind of overcoming that kind of programming, overcoming, where were the origins of that, that certainly didn't start with us with that, it's, I think it was, certainly a lot of fear, certainly a lot of, if you're standing out or you're speaking up in the world, that's not a good thing.
Right.
You're taking a risk, you're being too vocal. And so conformity and, playing to the norm was really the things that I grew up with. And so, overcoming that as an adult and having a strong point of view and being confident in my yes, confident in my no, are two things that I've been have to cultivate within myself.
Right.
So, yeah. So, that's kind of the origins. And in corporate America, like all of us, many of us, I went to college, got a degree in history, thought I'd be a lawyer, but instead went into tech. And the early messages from my family were like, what makes you think you can do this tech
Girls don't do that.
That's it. Yes. Yeah. So, starting off with like a lack of confidence of like, well, I never thought that I couldn't do it. I'm going to go for it. And I achieved a lot of success early on in the technology industry, went public with several companies and then developed a type of lifestyle where I was working 24/7, Deb, working. And on a Sunday morning in 2000, found myself on a Sunday morning alone without a partner, feeling very, very, very not well, thinking that my heart was racing, nauseous, all the symptoms.
Oh, all the symptoms of the big one.
Exactly. But being an independent woman, I said, I don't need to call an ambulance. I'll just ask my doorman in downtown Chicago to call a cab for me. So taking a cab to the hospital and, I wasn't going to hail a cab.
See you doing that.
Yeah. And finding myself.
And thanking the cabbie and doing all that.
Paying the cab, taking the time while at that point, we now know minutes mean things, when you, yes. and getting to the emergency room, going to the head of the line, because if you think you're having a heart attack.
Yeah, that does move you to the front.
It does. And that's not the front of the line that we really want, Deb, is it?
No.
Yeah. Yes. And so I was admitted immediately. And after several hours of trying to convert my heart rate to a normal heart rhythm, it was incredibly elevated. I think it was 196 over 110.
You were very tachycardic.
Thank you. Yes. And for a 39-year-old woman, this was not good.
Right.
Yes. So, that then immediately escorted into the cardiac intensive care unit with people that were considerably older than I was. And I remember distinctly the first call I made once I got into the cardiac intensive care unit was not to my family, Deb, not to a partner, a husband, a significant other. The first call I made was to my client.
Can't be there tomorrow.
Thank you. I won't be able to be at the meeting tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning. And so it was like, wow, my priorities were really out of whack at the time. Work. And I had 2 full days that I now see in retrospect to really think about my life and think about what was I doing and where my priorities were. Here I was in this hospital bed by myself. No one really to call. Now, a couple friends came when I called them and say, listen, would you come by and visit?
Bother you, but
yeah, thank you. Exactly. Yeah. So I really didn't have a voice. And, being able to know what my yes was, know what my no was, because it was work 24/7. And when I was finally, I'd say, let out of the hospital, I had to plead with my doctor to, discharge
you had things
me.
to do.
Yeah, I did. I had to get back to work, and I remember, the prescription that I was given was for a calcium channel blocker to slow my heart rate down and a prescription for take a vacation. And, and I realized that wasn't going to do it. So I remember looking at this hospital as I was leaving, and there was an opportunity that was so profound for me to look at this hospital and say, you know what? I don't want to come back here anymore. I've got to make a pact with my maker to change my life, because what I'm doing is obviously not working. And I left, and I immediately had the wisdom to get a coach and start working on what was my next plan. How was I going to reinvent my career, reinvent my life? And I in fact did. And within 6 months, I left this career that I loved, but I essentially had a broken heart, a broken heart. And it was the confluence of, it was a vasovagal atrial fibrillation, which is, too much stress,
right?
Too much
and your
lifestyle.
heart just goes bleh.
Exactly.
That's the technical term, bleh.
And it really did. It really did. Yeah. So getting a lesson early on of, authenticity, what's real for me, what's important to me. That's one of the things that drives me now is, having especially women know what the signs are for a broken heart, so to speak, whatever it is, and take the steps in advance to not have to go through the cardiac intensive care, the emergency room experience, and all of that. But in hindsight, what a gift it was.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I was the same way. I was, one of those busy driven people. And then I got that big C diagnosis. And that was not going to be a big deal. And then it was, it just, it really did make me, it forced me stop in my tracks, and all of those various things. And one of the things that I thought, and I did, same thing you did. It was like, okay, we got to do something different. And I knew that my body was going to force me to. That was just going to be a big part of it. But at the same point, I think one of the biggest things, it was a mind shift. It really was that, okay, we can't keep going on like this. Don't know how many days you got left, hopefully like 40, 50, but at the same point, years, not days, sorry. And
well, it's an unknown, isn't it?
I know,
it's very scary.
we satellite could fall and whoop on us, or, we could hopefully live 40 or 50 years more. But it's okay. What is the priority? One of the things that I really made a shift in, and it's still a little difficult, is the toxic people, and getting those as much as you can out of your life. And I mean, there are people that are still going to be there, and there are the people who are the negative Nellies and all of those things. But yeah, but as I was thinking this, I thought, why is it though that it takes things like catastrophic illness before we, and it happens obviously to men too, before we think, wait a minute, this isn't what we should be doing with our lives?
Yeah. What a great question. And I think that it's that, I know for myself, I was on autopilot for so long. I mean, it was the habits that I had. It was this life that I had created, which was a go-go life and constantly going. And it was these self-imposed expectations and that I never really paused to evaluate. And, there's that saying about, that you'll step in the pothole and you won't, if you don't get the lesson, then you'll run into the wall. If you still don't get the lesson, then the bricks are going to come falling on you. I mean, it's a series of progression of things, but being aware enough through other people's stories and being in a community of enlightened people that are in this kind of conversation, that life is so important, and get off of autopilot, see the signs that are right in front of us, because the signs were there for me, Deb. I mean, my heart, I could feel it. It was fluttering. I could feel that I was not feeling well. The signs were there. But this is not a self-blame thing. This is more of an awareness opportunity.
Right.
Yeah. So,
well, and with women, of course, and especially of our generation, I mean, bless the millennials and everybody who comes after, because I think they are learning from us, which is great. But we really were the pleasers.
Yes.
And we're the takey care of other people's, you can't get sick, because you got to take care of everybody else in your life, whether it's family, whether it's clients, whether it's those things. It's funny, when I've been in the hospital several times. Hospitals have really good Wi-Fi. And so I continue to work while I'm in the hospital, and people are like, really? And, my clients know, and all those various things, but part of, some of it is, okay, I'm bored, so I'm just going to sit there and work. But should I have been, because I could have told them, you know what? I'm down for a week, because if we were on vacation, we would do, but it's weird when we're sick, we still are like, I can continue working.
Yes. Well, and I think what you're bringing up is really a sense of priorities. And it's, for me, it's been for so long, it was an ingrained way of doing things, an ingrained way of living.
Right.
And it was, it was also my ancestry that I saw this, in my phenomenal mother, who, was a work. And, I saw that as part of my role model,
right,
and thought it was the thing that I needed to take on. And of course, taking, like you're saying, taking care of everyone, taking care of everything. It's a lot of pressure.
Right.
And I don't think the people around us, that are expecting that, but now when we're older, renegotiating the terms, so to speak, is really where I'm at. And the first thing to start with for me is who I first need to negotiate with is myself.
Right.
And this reinvention process. And as you were saying, really getting the people out of our life, moving them to the side, and putting some parameters on our relationships with them. And, are the people around us rising us up, raising us up, supporting us, or are they pulling us down? And energetically, we know
Right.
Absolutely no.
Mhm.
But are we willing and courageous enough
Mhm.
to take the steps
Mhm.
to have those difficult
Mhm.
conversations?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And it is all about who we surround ourselves with.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately for women, it's more difficult at a senior executive level because there aren't as many,
Right.
and for a variety of reasons, and we all know a lot of those reasons. But yeah, we there it's hard when you don't have as many mentors, when you don't have as many people. And that's not to say that we can't turn to men, but at the same point, they don't get it, and so it's been difficult. And so, I'll be honest, that's part of why I really loved, and I'm going to plug C-Suite Network here. I love the fact that C-Suite has deliberately created environments for women to be successful.
Yes.
And there are obviously organizations outside of C-Suite that have done this also, and they're very successful. But yeah, and so, I want to encourage women, and I don't care if you're, 20 years old and just starting out, or 65 and still, I told somebody the other day, they're going to have to pry my computer out of my cold, dead hands. I'm never going to retire because I enjoy what I do. But, all along there, we need to be looking for other women and supporting the other women in our lives, and not being the bitchy catty things that we can on occasion be, right?
Right. Absolutely. Well, yeah. And surrounding ourselves, as we started off the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
of other sheroes,
Right.
women that are doing
Mm-hmm.
extraordinary things
Mm-hmm.
that perhaps are, starting off as the seeds of something really
Mm-hmm.
powerful. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I felt the real call
Mm-hmm.
to answer the call to
Mm-hmm.
start the C-Suite Network
Mm-hmm.
Women's Leadership
Mm-hmm.
Council, to really gather women together,
Mm-hmm.
to be seen, to
Right.
be heard, to be
Mm-hmm.
richly rewarded
Mm-hmm.
in a community, a business
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, even to your point, that women at every age, every level, in
Mm-hmm.
every opportunity, we need to surround
Mm-hmm.
ourselves with other women that are supportive, that
Mm-hmm.
are going in the
Mm-hmm.
same direction that we're going to. And sometimes I belong to a lot of local
Mm-hmm.
groups and regional
Mm-hmm.
groups, and I think having multiple connection points, multiple
Mm-hmm.
communities that
Right.
serve us in
Mm-hmm.
different ways is really,
Mm-hmm.
really important.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, that's been one of the nice things for me from the pandemic, is I'm not networking locally. We started
Yes.
things back up here in Atlanta in May of 2020. I mean, they started meeting in person again that long ago. Obviously, I'm a delicate flower, and so I'm not supposed to go be around a lot of people still.
Right. Yeah.
And so I just didn't go back into networking. But what it made me do was really expand my online opportunities, and that has been just fabulous. Whether it's like there's a group that I have joined called Lunch Club.
Nice.
And it's basically you're supposed to have lunch, but I mean, there are these various times, but it's short things, 45 minutes from people. And I need to find those people and have them interviewed on the program, because the tech is incredible. But so I'm meeting one person, or going and finding groups of women. And like one of the Lunch Club women that I chatted with several weeks ago is a survivor of sex trafficking. And that is so out of my realm of anything, that to talk with this young woman and see what she has done and become was just mind opening. I mean, she was incredible. And mid 20s, late 20s. I mean, she really is just an incredible woman. But I think, again, the pandemic, it made us stop, it made us slow down, and it gave us the opportunity to really be reaching out and meeting people. Because 2 years ago, I would have never done, because I would have been too busy doing all of the other things that I was doing. And it really has kind of made us rethink a lot of this.
Well, absolutely. And expand our opportunities, expand our communities. But at the same time, Deb, what you're also speaking to that resonates a lot with me is being consciously aware of, who do I want to include into my circle, and what are the new circles what are the new business sisterhoods
Mhm.
and brotherhoods as
Right.
well? We're equal opportunity
Mhm.
here, but where do I want to expand and grow and
Right.
consciously do
Mhm.
that? And we've got our biological circles,
Mhm.
our genetic
Mhm.
circles, our
Mhm.
families of origin, as sometimes they're called.
Mhm.
And then we've got the communities of people that we really like, that
Mhm.
we get to participate with,
Mhm.
support, be
Mhm.
involved with from a conscious level.
Mhm.
And I also think, raising up our abilities
Mhm.
to rise to the level of the new groups that we're
Mhm.
participating in. How are we showing up?
Mhm.
Are we showing up as our fullest, most powerful,
Mhm.
authentic self?
Mhm.
This is where the whole idea about women's success swagger comes
Mhm.
in, is what are we bringing to the table here,
Mhm.
and what are we doing
Mhm.
to create mutual
Mhm.
reciprocity and mutual opportunities where everyone can
Right.
benefit?
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a
tell me more about Women's Success Swagger, because that is something that you offer. And I had never known that you did that until we started doing this. And so this is a great opportunity for me and everyone else to know more about it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it really came from the idea of how can we quantify this elusive kind of charisma
Mhm.
that I think we all want to cultivate. And it
Mhm.
started off for me is, all right, when I think of swagger, and we did a women's leadership council
Mhm.
session on this, which
Mhm.
people can do a search on it. It was a really powerful session
Mhm.
looking at when women think of swagger, what
Mhm.
do they think about?
Ah.
And yeah, and it
Mhm.
was interesting because it was John Wayne Swagger,
Mhm.
Elvis Swagger,
Mhm.
Jeffrey Hazlett, founder
Mhm.
of C-Suite
Right.
Network Swagger.
Mhm.
And we were kind of like perplexed. Okay, who
Are
can
there
we think?
women that swagger?
Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
absolutely. And what I came to realize is, part of this is, it's confidence, it's
Mhm.
competence,
Mhm.
it's certainty. Deb, we
Mhm.
were looking at the qualities
Mhm.
of this. How can we like name the qualities versus name the person?
Right. Mhm.
Because then what really stood out for me is,
Mhm.
rather than us as women having women's success
Mhm.
swagger, is how can we be the best version of ourselves?
Right.
We know when we're powerful, we
Mhm.
know when we're confident, and we know when we're saying yes, we know
Mhm.
when we're saying no.
Mhm.
It's that embodiment
Mhm.
of it, rather than trying to emulate
Mhm.
someone else,
Mhm.
because that never works.
Right.
There's the inauthenticity of
Mhm.
it, the
Mhm.
weirdness, the fakiness of
Mhm.
that comes out. So embody that, our personal best,
Mhm.
and develop that, cultivate that, practice it, so
Mhm.
we can actually conjure it up
Mhm.
at any time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love the word swagger, because that really is a perfect embodiment of this. And I mean, you mentioned John Wayne. I mean, that to me would be the ultimate. He's got his thumbs through his belt loops, and nobody's going to knock him over. I mean, it's a way that he existed that you knew he was not to be messed with. And it's funny
Yeah.
because a lot of women have that. I mean, we're powerful, and it's like, oh, don't mess with her. No, no. Mm-mm. And of course, a lot of that is don't mess with mom, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
but
Yes.
and so
Yes.
how do we take that swagger into the business realm where, let's be honest, a lot of times we are thinking, are we really supposed to be here?
Yeah. Wow. What a phenomenal series of questions here.
I know. See, I do that. I just throw a whole bunch in at once.
So a lot for your listeners to be thinking
Mhm.
about, for themselves, is how do they, what I'm hearing is,
Mhm.
is developing the swagger,
Mhm.
and then also cultivating and embodying
Mhm.
your own personal
Mhm.
swagger when you're in environments that
Mhm.
maybe are not welcoming, maybe
Right.
are unknown, or maybe a little foreign to us.
Mhm.
Well, I think, it starts with the process of, what is my own personal swagger?
Mhm.
How am I defining it?
Mhm.
And, what does it look like? And then in what ways can I strengthen it?
Mhm.
And in what situations can I activate it?
Mhm.
Because, as we women grow, I should say, become more wise
Mhm.
and get down the path of life, many times our estrogen goes down,
Mhm.
our testosterone goes up.
Right.
So as women,
We
we
get
get
more swagger.
we do, we absolutely do.
Mhm.
And, the kind of the side to look at
Mhm.
of women's success swagger
Mhm.
is it can turn into, when it's not harnessed
Mhm.
the right way. And I'm not saying this is right or
Mhm.
wrong. It's just, I've noticed this for myself and for the women that I coach,
Mhm.
is it can turn into the dark side of it, of anger,
Mhm.
resentment,
Mhm.
power that is not controlled,
Mhm.
and that can, get out in the world.
Mhm.
It can be, it can show up in a lot
Mhm.
of different ways of, perhaps resentment
Mhm.
and perhaps disappointment,
Mhm.
and expectations that are not met.
Right.
And that is not a turn on at
Mhm.
all.
Right.
It
And you
turns
don't want
people
that for
away.
your leader.
Well, absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. So noticing that, hey, for me, that is
Mhm.
something that I need to watch, is
Mhm.
how am I managing this swagger? How am I taking
Mhm.
my hula hoop,
Mhm.
my lasso, whatever
Mhm.
it is,
Yes, our
and
Wonder Woman lasso. Mhm.
exactly pulling it in.
Mhm.
That's it.
Mhm.
And controlling it,
Mhm.
but not, but looking at how can we use that power,
Right.
the power
Mhm.
for good, and the power for knowing that we
Mhm.
are so powerful.
Right.
And having a controlled,
Mhm.
conscious, measured
Mhm.
kind of swagger is really,
Mhm.
really important,
Right.
and responsible
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
and it just shows up in, like, hey, the old saying of just because I can doesn't mean I should.
Mhm.
Well, should I be doing all these
Mhm.
things? How do I let go
Mhm.
and let others
Mhm.
contribute? How do I
Right.
let go and let others,
Mhm.
stand up and
Mhm.
demonstrate and strengthen their
Mhm.
swagger?
Right.
If I'm doing it all,
Mhm.
then it doesn't give anybody an opportunity
Mhm.
to participate and shine
Mhm.
as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that that comes back to being, one of the things that women were kind of taught to do is we have to do it all.
Right.
I remember the commercial, many years ago. Someday I'm going to have to find it and put it on the website. And I don't remember what it was advertising, but remember, she was bringing home the bacon. She was frying it up in the pan. So she was doing everything. And that was kind of the generation that we edged into.
Yes.
We went to work, went to school at about the point where we were really being told, you have to do everything.
Yes.
You have to be the mom, you have to be, a breadwinner, you have, and I'm, have to really is the important thing. It wasn't, hey, you've got a choice in it. It's this is what is expected of you.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
anytime I hear someone who, when you say, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself, when the word just gets in there, I'm like,
Mm.
and we frequently hear it with, I'm just a mom.
Oh
It's
gosh.
like, no. That's one of the most important roles that there can possibly be. So you're never just a mom. But we hear that a lot. And it comes back to, again, how we were brought up, that, it's really weird. I mean, we were told we need to do it all, but we don't take credit for it because no, that's not polite. And and we have to be letting other people. I mean, it's this whole mixed messages. I can't even get it out because it's so mixed up. All these
Yes.
mixed messages that we've been brought up with.
And Deb, it's so confusing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm,
I mean,
mm-hmm,
it's not only confusing to us as women, but it's also confusing to our partners, our families, and it sets up a
mm-hmm,
real opportunity for
mm-hmm.
disaster,
Right.
because
Mm-hmm,
how can we ever be fulfilled
mm-hmm.
and satisfied
Right.
as in our
Mm-hmm,
careers,
mm-hmm,
in our businesses,
mm-hmm,
with our teams that we're
mm-hmm,
leading, with our
mm-hmm,
colleagues and our coworkers, if it doesn't start with
mm-hmm,
certainty and calmness,
mm-hmm,
and a plan of
mm-hmm.
action from us
Right.
first.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
So, again, coming back to what's our yes,
Mm-hmm.
embodying
Oh,
is,
yes.
yes, this is right
Mm-hmm,
for me. And,
mm-hmm,
no, that
mm-hmm,
is really not what
mm-hmm,
I want.
mm-hmm,
And stop the ruminating. I
mm-hmm,
know that for a lot of women, we overthink things. I hear this a lot from clients, is overthinking, over planning, over. Everything is
and
over
a
the
man
top.
would just do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we can learn a lot from that certainty. The swagger that many men have is, you don't need 15 different options. One option is fine. Take the option and,
fix it later if you have to.
Exactly, Deb. Exactly. I think that we women, and I'll just speak for myself, that in the past, I have really overthought so many things in order to be prepared, in order to be ready. And, the worry gene is it genetically in my family. I mean, it was passed through from my grandmother to my mother to me. And I noticed that the worry gene is, and by the way, bless my grandmother, Jeanette is her name. So Jean is part of this, Yes. Yeah. Is not a badge of honor I choose to wear anymore. Is just, the worry, spending time, investing time and energy on an outcome that most certainly won't happen.
Right.
In order to be prepared and ready is not the life that I want to live. It got me into the cardiac intensive care unit. So yep. So calming it down, getting focused, letting go of some things, and, whether it's people that aren't in alignment with where we're going, if it's jobs, if it's work, if it's committees. I thought, that signing up and participating literally in 12 different groups at one time in my life was the key to happiness.
Right.
I assure you it's not.
No. Yeah. Like I said, part of the pandemic, it made us slow down. And I was like, okay, I miss Southern catering. Oh my gosh. I mean, they fry everything, but it's good stuff. And, and I miss the people, but I don't miss the constant get up, get dressed, drive. And of course, here in Atlanta, it's drive and drive and drive and drive. And then we rush back home. And so for your 1 hour meeting, it was 3 hours, if not more.
Absolutely.
And just doing that over and over again, and then really looking at it when we couldn't do it anymore and going, am I missing anything? And more importantly, am I missing business? If I'm not attending those business things, and that was really what I thought about with my networking here, not doing it for 18 months. Have I lost any business? No. And, and there's a variety of reasons for that. But then it made me think, okay, I miss the people. I miss the programs. I mean, fabulous programs. But, and now my big thing is, do I have to put on shoes? Exactly. That's a nice thing about podcasts, right? We really don't have to put on shoes. But, what are we missing out on? And when we sit down and think about it, it's like, I don't have to do. Now, I still am a member of all those organizations because I think that is important, but Absolutely. To go and go and go and go and go. I mean, there were times during the, in the, last couple of years, and it really hit home when I was doing my taxes and I had to look at my mileage and went, ooh, I'd be gone for lunch 4 or 5 days a week. Which, I mean, that was a 3-hour block of time and things like that. And part of that, and I really want to talk more about the concept of the yes and the no. It was, I felt obligated that I had to do it. And not only was it, if I'm a member, I have to go. It really was, all of those various things. And so I can be a member, I can participate remotely, I can, all those things, but I can tell them or anybody no, and it's a full sentence. I don't have to say, yeah, but I don't have to justify. I don't have to do any of that. And I think that's one of the hardest things for us, especially as women, to do is say no. And maybe we should be a little polite and say no, thank you. But, it's no.
Right. Well, and to feel that in ourselves, that we've made a choice and we understand why we've made the choice and we're certain and calm in executing the choice.
Right.
And not be wobbly about the choice, not feel like, as you're saying, we don't have to fill in the blanks and give excuses and reasons and circumstances, is, that people respect us enough that we can just say, no, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you. And I I think, gosh, it again is, what's the intent? Is the intent, back to the beginning of our interview, Deb, is it people pleasing? Is it getting along and going along? Is it trying to do so much? Is it the FOMO, fear of missing out, fear of going out, fear of all this? And what's the big why behind what we're doing? Is it to be a people pleaser, or is it to really direct our businesses and our careers in a way that works for us? And it also works for our clients, our communities. What's driving us? That's really the thing that I find so fascinating, is what's underneath all of this, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we talk about no being a single sentence. Yes is that way too, because how many times do we say yes or yes, but, and we start doing disclaimers there too.
Correct.
And it's fine just to say, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got to get over this thing that we seem to think we have to do is, and maybe it comes back to being the kids in school that were told, shut up. We can't do one sentence, right? One word, yes or no. It's yes, but no, but right. It really is okay to stop. And you do, yes, we do might need to include other information in there, but don't automatically do it.
Right. And as an excuse, as a justification, as an explanation, all of these things. And I think that's, again, where we can exert more power, more certainty, and more clarity for ourselves, is that it doesn't, we've seen people out in the world that, they embody that swagger of, of the certainty, of the calmness, of the directedness, and they're not wobbly on their yes, they're not wobbly on their no. And, that's very attractive. It's very alluring. And as a leader, it's absolutely critical, not trying to be everything to all people, but to be certain and to be powerful in you is really it. That's what the world wants, right?
Yes. And I was thinking, we've all seen the various things that say, what would Jesus do? I think we need, what would John Wayne do?
Right. Yes.
And it's okay, and of course the tricky thing, and this is, one of the things that women struggle with, is sometimes we get a little too in that swagger, and we get into, you mentioned some of the negatives. We also get into the bossy bitchy. And that's tricky too, to be confident without overdoing.
Absolutely. Right. And to maintain, what a great point that you're making, Deb, is to maintain, for me, I'll just say, to maintain that the power of who I am as a woman, and my feminine energy, my feminine power, my feminine certainty, all of those things that make me a balanced person. But at the same time, using my power within me to not be overpowering or over dominating. And
because it is okay to still be feminine, to still do all of those things.
Completely. And to be the best you. That's really, and the thing that is important to me is that, to have a reason for all of this, and to have a reason to have some certainty, and, a charter for your life, which is so important, is why are you doing what you're doing? And, the charter for my life is creating a world where all people win, where all people feel and experience success in whatever that means to them.
Right.
So for each of us women to understand what is it that we're doing? Why are we doing it? And then how can we embody that?
Right.
So there's true authenticity, true alignment, and we're actually to stay on the path that's important to us.
Right. And women have the characteristics that we need in leadership. The empathy, is probably one of the biggest ones. Communication skills. Hello.
Yes.
And other things like that. And that's where, it's exciting to see, because we're not saying, it's all women, and because we need that combination of, the male and the female, and, yes, we have, non-binary. All those things are in there because we need all of those combinations. That's what's going to make it where we're all successful.
Completely true, Deb. And I love what you're saying. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because for all of us to
Mhm.
exert the masculine,
Mhm.
not necessarily the male definition of masculine,
Right. Mhm.
and the feminine, which is not
Mhm.
necessarily the female
Mhm.
version of it, but that energy,
Mhm.
the attributes, the positives of both, and
Mhm.
both, both
Mhm.
sides of us have got their downsides and their
Mhm.
challenges as
Right.
well, but the feminine and
Mhm.
the masculine, and
Mhm.
to be able to flow between the two of us,
Mhm.
the two of that,
Mhm.
two of those characteristics
Mhm.
and attributes, so incredible,
Mhm. Right.
really important.
You
Yeah.
know,
And the
and
world needs it now,
right.
really.
And it's interesting to see how we are getting more and more of that. As our younger generations are saying, hey, you know what? I don't see myself in that defined role.
Yes.
And
Yes.
sometimes it's a little hard for us older peeps to understand. But at the same point, I'm like, holy cow. Just think if we'd had that 30, 40 years ago, and because
Yes.
we were told you have to fit in this box, back to what we were saying at the very start, there was this box, and heaven forbid you get out of that box.
Well, and the world now, the so many great lessons
Mm-hmm,
from the pandemic
mm-hmm,
experience
mm-hmm,
and from everything that's happening in the
mm-hmm,
world now is it's if we haven't had an opportunity to shift and
mm-hmm,
to refine and to
mm-hmm,
clarify, what's my role here in the
mm-hmm,
world? What's my work to do?
mm-hmm,
What is it that I'm really
mm-hmm,
passionate about? Where are my gifts and talents
mm-hmm,
is talents, regardless
mm-hmm,
of masculine and
mm-hmm,
feminine, all of that. Just be my
mm-hmm,
best
mm-hmm,
and let go of the
mm-hmm,
rest, just and get busy with the important things in
mm-hmm,
life. And I find that many people,
mm-hmm,
and me included, is it's really easy to go down the path of focusing in on, I call it focus on the stupid stuff,
mm-hmm.
the stuff that really
Right.
doesn't really
Yeah.
matter,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
and keeping focused,
Mm-hmm.
like your 700th podcast interview here. I mean, that's an important milestone. And, I'm also kind of curious, I'd like to turn the table a bit, is what have you have certainly, you've connected and given
Mm-hmm.
700 plus people a platform to be showcased
Mm-hmm.
on your
Mm-hmm.
podcast. What have you learned through 700 podcasts?
The cool thing is I've learned from every single guest. And I think that's what's been so fun about it is, they're I love being a continual learner.
Yes, me
And so
too.
each time, sometimes maybe it's some little thing. Sometimes it's like, holy schmoly. But it is, just to continually be learning. I've had guests on who they themselves have given thousands of interviews, depending on what they do. And so they're like, this is old hat, not a problem. And I have had some people who are very new to it, and I encourage them that podcasting is a great way to get their information out there, especially in this day and age. I mean, there's just so many ways that they can do that. But it is something where it is a good way, whether you're a guest or whether you decide to take the plunge and be a host. But it really is, it's just been this continually learning experience for me and to meet people. I mean, I'm connected with many of them still on various social media things, and it's fun to see their updates, whether it's personal, whether it's business, and
Nice.
just see how they're doing in life. And it's been worldwide. I mean, I was sharing, and we had a guest on earlier this month from Croatia. Yeah, I
Yes,
had to admit, I had to
beautiful.
get out the map. Google it, because I wasn't sure where Croatia was. But just being able to expand our horizons like that has been really pretty cool. And I really have met just some absolutely fantastic people. Out of all of those 700, now, I do have duplicate guests, but there's maybe only been two that I
Isn't
just
that
didn't click
something?
with. And I just didn't click with them. I mean, it might have been me, it might have been them. Didn't mean they weren't still absolutely fantastic people, but just, we probably wouldn't have had another cup of coffee together. But yeah, I mean, it's been very cool. And it's been great for me to just continue sharing all of that and have people say, hey, we want this, we want
Right.
more from it.
Nice, nice. Well, and so you have really been a connector, and you've been really giving people a platform to have a point of view that's expressed out in the world. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I mean, really fabulous. And if you had not taken the initiative to do this 700 plus, podcast interviews before, I mean, the world would not have this beautiful expression from you, this body of work. The C-Suite network would not have your wonderful podcast, Deb. So, it took a lot of initiative. It took initiative and work, and it's not easy, of course.
It's, and I mean, it's easy and it's hard. I mean, and that's always when people say, hey, we want to do this, it's like, okay, there's all these things. I mean, Jeffrey Hazlett shared with us the fact that on iTunes, like 34% of all podcasts have just one episode. Yeah. You go to all that work, at least do 10. Right. But yeah, it's funny because I started out as someone's guest and I went, ooh, this is fun. Nice. I can do this because I like to talk. But one of the things, to circle back to all of this, I mean, we do have to have our own voice. Yes. But it is important to know when to listen. And I think that's been sometimes, especially for me, because I do like to, yammer and talk and interrupt and, and all those things. Listening is such an important skill. And I think women are very good at that. And we have to take the time to truly listen, not just the mom thing of, yeah, whatever, as you're doing 5 other things. Right. But to listen to what's going on. Right. And also what a present it is to be present. Right. So, and here we are, we're on video, we're listening to each other, we're hearing, and, we bless and thank all of the listeners that are listening to your podcast and listening to us is what a gift it is. It's, I mean, what a gift to me, Deb, to be your 700th guest and to be able to take a moment in time, share some things that I'm really passionate about, have a point of view and get out there, take the initiative and for you to receive it and then amplify it and get it out in the world is so wonderful. And I think that might be the biggest message from this again is, women, we need our voices to be heard. And I don't care if it's, a one person that you're talking to, or you're doing a podcast, or you're on a stage in front of 10,000 people. Maybe we'll do that again. Right. And to be able to do that, because your voice is important. It is something that other people need to hear. And don't ever, I mean, don't ever think, it doesn't matter. It's not that important. Right. And really, I mean, it goes back to, we're 6 years old. Little boys go, blah, tell you everything. Right. And little girls are like,
I'll just wait for the right opportunity. Yeah. And it generally never comes.
Right. Sometimes we have to make those opportunities and sometimes we just have to grab them.
Absolutely. And what great lessons from our podcast, is having a point of view from my perspective, having a point of view, having a perspective, taking the time to really research it and feel confident and certain in what you're saying, why you're saying it, and to whom you're saying it. And then just let it rip, get it out there, do it.
And not everybody is going to agree. That's the other thing. It's like, and you know what? That's okay too.
Right.
Don't beat them over the head with it. But it's okay to not agree, and to turn it off. I mean, somebody the other day was saying, on Facebook, I'm going to get off Facebook because it's so negative. It's so this, it's so that. I hate reading this, yada, yada, yada. And my response, and I said, please don't think I'm being flip because I really am very serious about this. Stop reading that.
Yes.
I mean, it's just that simple. You read the headline, you go, nope. We can unfollow people. We can do all of that. But it is one of those things where it's like I was saying, I got rid of some of the toxic people in my life. It's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's the other thing is, we're all taught and told, especially, the baby boomers and all of that, no, we have to go along. We have to accept it. No.
Right. That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. Yeah. It is ultimately, it's our lives.
Mhm.
We get to choose how we live it,
Mhm.
who we live it with,
Mhm.
who we love, who we
Right.
care about,
Mhm.
who we align ourselves
Mhm.
with.
Mhm.
And what an empowering way to live is by choice,
Mhm.
by
Right. Mhm.
freedom, by
Mhm.
possibility
Mhm.
and connection.
Right. And sometimes it takes a while. This isn't you wake up and you go, methinks I'm doing this today. There are many things. It took you 6 months to change careers. It takes
Yes.
sometimes people, a long time to get out of bad relationships. Whether it's business, whether it's personal, all of those various things. But start down that path and really start thinking about, I love it. You'll go back to define what your swagger is.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And what are our strengths?
Mhm.
What are our
Mhm.
weaknesses? And it's like, it's okay to have weaknesses,
Right.
and
Mhm.
and to know ultimately, get the advice and the counsel of
Mhm.
others. That's why being in a,
Mhm.
a sisterhood, a
Mhm.
circle,
Mhm.
being in a community of
Mhm.
people who really see you, and you
Mhm.
get an opportunity to show
Mhm.
up in a really great way, but not show up as the doer that
Mhm.
we can all activate,
Mhm.
but show up as the beingness and
Mhm.
our passion, and get that visibility
Mhm.
and counsel from other people, men and
Mhm.
women. It's
Mhm.
so important to get that visibility
Right.
and affirmation. We in the Women's Leadership Council, we talk about edifying each other.
Mhm.
So when one woman speaks, we edify that
Mhm.
leader that we see in her, and we lift her up and
Mhm.
give her this beautiful visibility. We all need it
Right.
at this
Mhm.
time, and we all
Mhm.
need it just in general.
Mhm. Mhm. Right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, times really are tough right now. There's a lot that's going on, but it seems like it's always like that. It's never
Yes.
happy, happy, rosy, rosy. So, what can we do to make it better for someone? Even if it is, again, just that one person that you're in the drive-through and you say, "Hey, thank you so much." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, nobody said thank you all day."
Isn't that something?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And have I think for me and for the women that I
Mhm.
guide and mentor is, what do we want our lives to represent? What do we
Mhm.
want to have our lives, the meaning of our life, and to have that, we stand for
Mhm.
things, we're living life
Mhm.
to the fullest, we're
Mhm.
living life authentically and with clarity,
Mhm.
we've got this one time. So it's so darn precious.
Mhm.
What are we going to make of it?
Right.
Not as a sticky note, not as a meme, but it's
Mhm.
like, in reality,
Mhm.
how are we going to live
Mhm.
today?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, oh my gosh, Kathleen, this is why I set a timer, because we could be going for hours and hours. This is just so much fun. But tell people how they find you and connect with you.
Oh, Deb, thank you. And what a tremendous opportunity.
Isn't this fun? This was
Oh my
great.
gosh, I loved every second of it.
Mhm.
I'm going to be on a high for
Mhm.
the rest of the day and the rest of the week, plus, 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 because of
Mhm.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. This has been
Oh
a
my
delight.
goodness.
Mhm.
Yes, thank you. I'm all over social.
Mhm.
I love LinkedIn, so
Mhm.
people can find me on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And I'm a council leader within the C-Suite
Mhm.
Network, founder of the Women's
Right.
Leadership Council. You can find
Mhm.
me there, and find me.
Mhm.
Let's connect. Let's talk about your
Mhm.
swagger. Let's talk
Right.
about what's next for you in your
Mhm.
life.
Right.
Love to do it.
Mhm. And speaking of C-Suite Network, there are many of their opportunities and events that they have that you can participate in if you're not a member. So, check it out and see, because then you might determine, wow, this is truly, because it is a membership organization, but it might be something that, you think, wow, I really want to get more, to get into, really be a true part of this.
Yes, absolutely. And come check out the Women's Leadership
Mhm.
Council within the C-Suite Network. Men are who
I
are
know we
allies and
always have men that
sponsors. Oh, we
participate.
do. And we love them. We
Mhm.
love them. I'm sure they absolutely love it as well,
Mhm.
because they get to be highlighted and
Mhm.
spotlighted by
Mhm.
us as well. So yeah,
Mhm.
so come as a
Mhm.
guest, learn more about what we're
Mhm.
doing, and come join
Mhm.
a positive, optimistic, supportive,
Mhm.
knowledgeable, really, really amazing
Mhm.
group of women and
Right.
men.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Well, again,
You.
this has been absolutely delightful, and I am so glad that you were my 700th
Oh,
guest. It was funny when
thank
I was
you.
putting the schedule together. Oh, probably about May. We have this big running spreadsheet, and it's got all the numbers, and and I mean, we're actually scheduling into January right now, but I went, okay, we've got 700. Who do I want? One name. There was this one name and I thought, oh my gosh, I have got to schedule Kathleen. And earlier I said, we should be thinking, what would John Wayne do? I'm revising that. It's WWKC. What would Kathleen Caldwell do? And I think it is something where as women, we need to find those other women. We need to see what they're doing, not duplicate them, because we have to be ourselves, but meet them and do all of those things. And so again, I encourage, everyone out there, and men, hello, you need to be encouraging the women in your life to do these things also, starting from little girls. The next time you tell your daughter, shh, no. Right. Now, okay. Right. In church, maybe not so much, but yeah, think about why you're telling them shush, and really think, should I be doing that, or should we really be hearing what this child's voice is saying to us?
Absolutely. Yes. And be the shero that you see in the world. Be that person. You can be your own hero, be your own shero, be your own best version of yourself. Right. The world needs it. The world's calling you. Answer the phone.
Yes. Answer. It's funny. My little monkey here. And for those who are listening to the podcast, it's a little monkey. He's got a little mask on and a little cape. I just decided, he's not a he, it's a she. Maybe it's a they. It's just this little creature here is going to be what, we need those emblems, right? Absolutely. Yes. And thank you. What a great opportunity. And we just send lots of love and blessings and goodwill to all of your listeners all around the world. Deb, thank you so much. I love it. What a fabulous way to end. I'm Deb Creer. I've been having one of the most spectacular, especially as we're recording this, it's a Monday morning, early, wonderful conversations with the fabulous Kathleen Caldwell. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.